2-2, comparing and ordering rational numbers. One vocabulary word, least common denominator, oftentimes referred to as LCD. So when you see least common denominator, you need to know what that means, and then LCD would be the abbreviation for least common denominator. Examples of problems you will see. Since we're ordering and comparing rational numbers, you are going to be given fractions, and your job is to decide which one's bigger, which one's smaller, and so on and so forth. You have 5/6 and you have 7/10. Your job is to make them equivalent fractions, or to the best of your ability, or get the common denominator, not make them equivalent fractions. That's impossible to do if they're not the same. So a common denominator, if you have 5/6 and you have 7/10, a common denominator of 6 and 10 is going to be 30. We know that 6 goes into 30. We know that 10 goes into 30. So my recommendation is just to write the denominator for both of your fractions. The math, or the process in determining what the numerator is, since we multiplied 6 by 5 to get 30, we would do 5 times 5, the same thing in the numerator, to get 25. So 5/6 equivalents are equivalent to 25/30ths. 7/10, same thing. We multiplied by 3 to get to 30, which is our common denominator, or our least common denominator if you look at your vocab. And if we multiplied the denominator by 3, we must multiply the numerator by 3. So your equivalent fraction for 7/10 would be 21/30ths. Your equivalent fraction for 5/6 would be 25/30ths. We know now that since both of these have a denominator of 30, 25/30ths is going to be bigger than 21/30ths, because 25 is bigger than 21. Next problem, example number 3. You have a mixed number. You have a couple of mixed numbers. We talked, or you should know, that converting a mixed number to an improper fraction is necessary to do any math work. And actually, you guys are all out there right now. I'm going to tell you this is what I'm saying right now is super important. When you have mixed numbers and you need to figure out any operation with them, you always need to convert them to impropers. So in this case, I can't take 5 2/9 and I can't take 5 2/7 and do anything with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert it into an improper. 5 times 9 is 45, plus 2 is 47 for my numerator. Denominator is 9 because the denominator in my mixed number is 9. 5 and 2/7. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 37. I'm going to leave my denominator as 7. I still do not have common denominators, or least common denominators, so now I have to go a step further and decide what is the least common denominator for 9 and 7. So when I think about 9 and 7, I think of the number 63. And I'm going to rewrite both fractions so that they have a denominator of 63. 9 times 7 got us to 63. And let's see here, 47 times 7 gets us to 47 times 7. Anybody want to give me that one? 50 times 7, 350 minus 21. That would be 319. 329. 329 63rds. And then 37/7 would be 9 times 37, because 7 times 9 is 63. And 37 times 9 is, go ahead, Pete. 333. So we now have 329 63rds and we have 333 63rds. We know ultimately, if we go up to our original problem, that 5 2/7 is bigger than 5 2/9. Here is our evidence. And I am going to ask you to show your evidence. Negative 44/100ths and negative 2/5. So again, we need to get these so that they're equivalent. We have a decimal and we have a fraction. I'm going to convert my negative 44/100ths into negative 44/100. And I'm going to leave this as negative 2/5. I'm looking at my fractions. I see that we do not have common denominators, so I'm going to get a common denominator. I'm going to use 100 for both of them. 100 times 1 is 100, and 44 times 1 is 44. Don't forget that it's a negative 44/100ths. And 5 times 20 gave me this 100, so 2 times 20 gives me 40. Don't forget it's a negative. Is negative 44/100ths bigger than or smaller than negative 40/100ths? Smaller. So we have less than, and actually in the problem we know that negative 44/100ths is less than 2/5. Negative 2/5, I'm sorry, less than negative 2/5. Last example would be a problem like this. This is very similar to number 3. The difference is you have a negative and you have a negative. Converting mixed numbers into improper fractions with negatives can be a little bit tricky if you don't know what to do with the negative. So what we're going to do is we're going to imagine that the negative doesn't exist and this negative doesn't exist for a moment. We're going to do our around the world. 2 times 7 is 14. Plus 6 is 20. We have 20 over 7. Now you can attach your negative. Same thing over here. 2 times 8 is 16. We multiplied. Add 7. We get 23 over 8 because we keep our denominator. We kept our denominator over here for the 27ths, our negative 27ths. Attach your negative on. Now we're looking at our new fractions, and we do not have common denominators, so we have to get a common denominator. 7 and 8 both go into 56. So I like to just get my denominators done and out of the way. And by the way, am I working vertically? Yes. And I know that this is a negative, and I know this is a negative. 7 times 8 gives me 56. And 20, I should be using dots, I'm sorry. 20 times 8 gives me 160. And 8 times 7 gave me 56. 23 times 7 gives me 161, I believe. What is bigger, negative 160 56th or negative 161 56th?
Negative 160
160 56th is actually greater than negative 161 56th. So negative 2 and 6 sevenths is bigger than negative 2 and 7 eighths. That is 4 examples plus the term least common denominator that you need to know for comparing and ordering fractions.